But holographic portraits opens up a whole new era. This is Dikrotech's portrait camera. A brief, harmless flash of diffused laser light records the subject's face in 3 dimensions. Because laser light is one color, makeup offers another challenge.
We do have to make them up now, and sometimes that's it looks a little strange to the person who's being made up, because we put on things like a purple or black lipstick to get the shadowing. See, we work at a single wavelength, so we have to somehow make a person look lifelike to that light, not in natural light. It's a completely different game than preparing somebody for a video camera.
Rallison expects holographic portraits to become a big part of his business. Right now, it's very expensive, $800 for the original portrait, $200 for each copy. Holography does have practical applications. This odd array of characters represents a computer terminal keyboard. Rallison will make a hologram of the characters, reduce them to fit on a pair of glasses, and quadriplegics will be able to program computers with their eyes. Will we see holographic images on our television screens? Rallison doubts it, at least for the next several years. Besides the difficulties and expense of taking holographic moving pictures, he says that just to transmit the information of a simplified hologram over the airwaves would require the capacity of several television signals at once.
Well, one hologram you may recall is the American Eagle that was on the front cover of National Geographic this past March. Well, the people who created that hologram will be coming to the Twin Cities this September 25th and 26th. They're going to hold a seminar on the history and future of this creative art form.
Now, the American Karate Studio has 2 locations in the Twin Cities, this one in Minnetonka and another one in St. Louis Park. Each studio has 3 classes a day and welcomes all age groups. They say they have something for everything, whether it be self-defense or exercise or sport.
Out of 60,000 hopefuls, 17 Magazine picked one of these pretty teenagers to be this month's cover girl. Tomorrow on PM Magazine, you'll meet the winner.
Then, former Orioles pitcher Jim Palmer made such a hit in his jockey shorts that a few more O's have gotten into the act. See how they feel about performing out of uniform.
And we'll meet the man who organized and choreographed the balloon launch at the Summer Olympics and, more recently, at the opening of River Place near downtown Minneapolis.
That's all on tomorrow afternoon's PM Magazine. Don't forget, we're on at 4:30.
We'll see you then. Goodbye.
Tonight, join us for The Wheel of Fortune at 6:30 here on Channel 4.
Goodyear is rolling out great deals on tires. A special shipment of Goodyear tires at low sale prices. A special shipment of the Goodyear tires you want most. Goodyear radials, all-season radials, high-performance radials. Goodyear special shipment savings are here, but come in now. The sale ends Saturday.
Goodyear tires and all good service for more Goodyears in your car.
This Career Network report concerns Central Cultural Chicano, dedicated to the social, civic, economic, and cultural advancement of the Hispanic population, the largest minority group in our state of Minnesota. Central Cultural Chicano provides educational and cultural activities for the bilingual, bicultural, and also monolingual persons of Hispanic origin who otherwise would not use opportunities and services that are available to the community at large. This organization will continue to advance the cultural background and history of the Hispanic people. Its goal is to help Hispanics become strong and self-sufficient while achieving a better standard of living. This is done through their comprehensive educational programs, their chemical dependency program, and through individual and family counseling. Visit Central Cultural Chicano or call 374-2996. This is John Gallus inviting you to look for our next Career Network report on Channel 4.
WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Serving and informing the Twin Cities for 4 decades. This is WCCO Television, Minneapolis, St. Paul. And now, Don Shelby, Pat Miles, Bud Frayling, and Ralph John Fritz bring you Channel 4's 5 p.m. report.
In the fall of 1984, all political roads lead to Minnesota. Not only is it Fritz Mondale's home base, but the Republicans are hoping to get the president here as well to help deliver the state in the November elections. And while Jim Gately will report that story a bit later from our Washington newsroom, we must begin this afternoon with the vice presidential candidate who found her own trail leading to Minnesota today. Good afternoon, everyone. This was indeed Geraldine Ferraro's turn to swing through the state.
She's here, Dave, actually for two reasons. One, to raise money for the Democratic ticket, and also to help Senate DFL candidate Joan Grow. Karen Barros is at one of the fundraisers right now with the live report. We understand that Ms. Ferraro has just arrived in the Twin Cities, Karen.
Yes, Pat, Geraldine Ferraro is running late. What we are told is that the crowd she attracted in Chicago exceeded 50,000 people. Here at the Hennepin County Government Center, the crowd fills the entire lawn on the 7th Street side of the building. We are told that this is the largest crowd that has ever been attracted to a Hennepin County Government Center event. DFLers here say that Grow needs this sort of event to get her campaign against incumbent Republican Rudy Boschwitz off the ground. Grow trails by Boschwitz by as much as 20 points in the polls with just 48 days left before the election. Grow has said all along that she will challenge Boschwitz on the issues, challenge his voting record. But DFL insiders say she will need more than that. She will need some excitement in the campaign, something unpredictable, maybe this sort of thing, but so far no sign of something that is really going to turn the campaign around for Joan Grow. Yesterday, Walter Mondale was heckled by Reagan supporters in California. They have taken some pains here to make certain that the same thing does not happen to Ferraro. There are people holding "We Love You, Jerry" signs in the front row. Flags have been handed out. People have been practicing how you wave them. There are, however, some Reagan supporters here. They are kind of relegated to the back of the lot. We're live here from the Government Center, waiting for Ferraro, due here any minute. Back to you, Pat.
Karen, let me ask you very quickly, do they have many Secret Service there? I mean, what's the security like?
It's pretty much the standard for what we see on this sort of event.
Okay, thank you. Well, the reason I ask is because we just have this report off the wire. The Secret Service reports a man with a knife was arrested near Walter Mondale in San Francisco today. Authorities said he was just several feet away from Vice President Mondale. Secret Service agent in charge, Richard McGrew, say agents arrested the man when they spotted leather straps under his pants leg that they believed to be a gun holster. The man's name was not immediately disclosed. We will, of course, have more on the story a bit later. More General Motors workers are off the job this afternoon, armed with a strike fund of about $570 million. The United Auto Workers Union has approved strikes at 4 more plants in Detroit, Indianapolis, Lansing, and also Flint, Michigan. That idles 30,000 more workers for a total so far of more than 92,000 strikers at 17 plants nationwide. In the meantime, Dave, talks between the two sides are continuing.
More indictments this afternoon against personnel at the Minneapolis Children's Theater, and the Hennepin County Attorney's Office says unless new evidence surfaces, these too will be the last issued in this case. The Charge Board and Education Director, Dr. Wayne Jennings, with failure to report suspected child sexual abuse, and science instructor Scott Krieger faces the same charge. The charges are misdemeanors. In Chaska this afternoon, now day 3 of waiting for Bob and Lois Bentz, the couple accused of child sexual abuse. The jury still has produced no verdict. Going to go live to Andy Greenspan at the Carver County Courthouse. Andy?
Dave, the jury's been out now for 20 hours over a 3-day period. It's been deliberating today since 9 this morning. They took an hour and a half off for lunch. They expect to go to dinner about another half hour. Lois Bentz's attorney said today he was not surprised things have taken this long. There are 24 counts in this case, and it's quite complex. Robert Bentz voiced concern today that the jury might compromise and end up convicting him on a couple of counts. Bentz also said he expects to spend $200,000 on attorney's fees by the time all of his legal proceedings are over. Now, the judge does have the option to call the jury together if it's deadlocked and ask why it may be deadlocked, but so far Judge Martin Mansour has not done that as far as we know, and so far he hasn't indicated that he will be doing that. So the wait goes on here. Defense attorneys tried to kill time today by playing Frisbee on the lawn. The two tensest people in the courthouse remain Robert and Lois Bentz, who under state sentencing guidelines could receive up to 40 years in prison. Dave?
Andy, there's always room for conjecture, particularly when there is so much time that has elapsed and people playing the waiting game. What generally is the forecast among both media representatives and legal people out there? Could the time indicate that there is a possibility of a hung jury here?
Dave, I think it's very tough to hear you. We're all the way down in Chaska, but if you're asking about a hung jury, there is certainly speculation about that. Sometimes a sign, if a jury's any nearer to things, is that they'll order lunch or dinner in. They haven't apparently done that for dinner. They're going to be going out to one of the local eateries for dinner, so they don't appear to be any closer. But the judge has indicated supposedly a willingness to let them go on. This is a very important case. It's a complex case. And I think the judge feels it's important to be somewhat flexible with the jury rather than calling them in right away and say, hey, what gives, what's the problem? So it appears that there's going to be some more flexibility here, at least for a while.
Fine, thank you. And take it easy out there, Andy. Don't work too hard, all right? Not bad duty while they're waiting, is it? Earl Carr is no longer a suspect in the 1982 Tylenol cyanide killings. Illinois officials say they now believe that Carr was in Houston, Texas at the time that the 7 Chicago deaths took place. Carr is a man accused of planting pipe bombs in several Midwestern states. It was following an interview on WCCO television in recent weeks in which he mentioned using cyanide in other crimes. Illinois authorities became suspicious at that time. Housing starts fell last month while pocketbooks got fatter. We'll have those stories.
And we'll also read the obituary of the Dome Stadium liquor tax that was repealed today. Stay with us.
When the cleaning needs strike, be prepared with household supplies from True Value hardware stores, like powerful True Test spray and glass cleaners and True Test super concentrated laundry detergent. Open clogged drains with Liquid Drano and clean up with Bonami and Magic Mildew Stain Remover. And care for your wood with Panel Magic and Wyman Furniture products. Then protect rugs with Scotch Guard Carpet Cleaner from participating True Value hardware stores.
Rattle, rattle, thunder, clatter, boom, boom, boom.
Don't worry, call the CarX man.
Oh, look at this beauty. The folks have put a lot of love and a fair amount of money into it, but not for mufflers. After the first CarX muffler, the rest are on us, including installation.
Everybody come to the CarX man. He's great.
Oh, Mom.
Oh, you are too. You're a great.
Rattle, rattle, thunder, clatter, boom, boom, boom.
You're never far from a CarX man.
There's nothing different here.
I'd say something's very different here.
That something is Kellogg's Fruitful Bran. Fruitful Bran is a feast of raisins, dates, and apples, all from Sun-Maid. It's the taste you've been looking for. Discover Kellogg's Fruitful Bran. Discover just how good a fiber cereal can taste.
For the first time since 1979, Minneapolis hotel and bar patrons won't be subsidizing Metrodome bonds. That comes as a result of a tax vote today by the Metropolitan Sports Facilities Commission. Debbie Ely explains.
The Metropolitan Sports Facilities Commission meeting began with an upbeat report from the Commission's accounting firm. The report dealt with whether to eliminate the 2% hotel, motel, and on-sale liquor tax. The conclusion?
That no tax will be required for the year 1985.
Jerry Bell says the tax break is in a large part due to the recent sale of the old Met Stadium. Money from that $14 million sale will be used to retire some of the $55 million worth of bonds which financed Metrodome construction. Satisfied with the tax recommendation, the Commission voted to eliminate it January 1st, 1985. They did, however, leave the door open to using it again if needed. As expected, bar and motel and hotel owners are pleased. At 9th Street Saloon in downtown Minneapolis, the 2% tax cost patrons an estimated $10,000 a year. It's a tax owner Mark Maslow has never agreed with.
I felt it was wrong from the start. I don't see why bars, restaurants, and hotels had to pay for a stadium that was just endowing private enterprise, i.e. the Twins and the Vikings.
Maslow says he is considering possible changes in his bar prices to reflect the potential tax reduction. However, drinks still carry an 11% state and federal tax. Even though the lodging and liquor tax cut seems a sure thing, it still needs the approval of the Metropolitan Council and the Minneapolis City Council. Debbie Ely, WCCO Television News, Minneapolis.
The Commerce Department came out with new figures about the economy this afternoon, and they look like this. New home construction fell nearly 13% last month. That is the lowest level in 1.5 years. At the same time, though, personal income in this country rose, up 0.5%. It is the smallest increase in 3 months.
Let's switch gears here quickly and go to Jim Gately in our Washington newsroom with details on what Minnesota Republicans are doing to ensure a Reagan victory here this November. Jim?
Dave, the Minnesota Reagan-Bush campaign is looking for a deal. They're telling national Republican leaders Let the president visit Minnesota, and will all but guarantee that Mr. Reagan will carry the state. Local Republicans are gaining confidence from the latest statewide poll, which has the president ahead of Walter Mondale by 7 points.
People still basically vote their pocketbooks. I think most of them, when they look in their checkbooks, they discover that they're in much better shape than they were in 3 years ago. And they view this man as a leader. And that's what they want in their president.
Today, Marcy Lear and Minnesota Congressman Vin Weber presented petitions to Reagan campaign chief Senator Paul Laxalt. The senator closed the meeting, but apparently was impressed with the 15,000-plus signatures.
Is that he promised us that he would personally deliver the petition to the president himself. And I think that's very significant, because we know from the last 4 years that when Ronald Reagan gets information directly, he has a tendency to act on it regardless of what his subordinates say. So I think we're in a good position.
And Lear agrees that Mr. Reagan just may be headed to Minnesota.
I'm really hopeful that he may be able to influence the right people.
No immediate decision is expected. The grand prize in Minnesota is the state's 10 electoral college votes. It's winner take all, and right now, the polls favor the president, but it's still 7 weeks till the election. And Pat and Dave, when you're covering politics, some of those weeks seem awful long.
Tim, even though they haven't made a decision, have they tossed any dates about, particularly in proximity to the general election date?
No, they haven't right now. They're just trying to, I think Lear and Weber are trying to hit home that the president is leading in Minnesota, and I think right now Marcy Lear and Vin Weber would settle for any date date at all.
Keeping in mind, I suppose, that George McGovern lost his own home state of South Dakota not too many years ago. Thank you very much, Jim. Ralph John Fritz is our physical fitness consultant today.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about that, Dave. As strength and durability grow more and more important in professional sports circles. We'll tell you what the North Stars are doing to fit into that pattern when the Wednesday Five continues.
You know, it isn't easy to get a job on TV. However, they hired me because I was obviously just the right person to tell you about these cookies, Salerno Royal Stripes. They're tender, old-fashioned shortbread, covered with a rich, chocolatey coating on the bottom, striped with it on the top. That's why they call them stripes. Why do they call them royal? Simply because they're fit for a king. Salerno Royal Stripes and Salerno Royal Grahams. Fit for a king.
Pressure is a natural part of everyone's life. But sometimes the pressure can be too much, and you suffer. Depression, anxiety, confusion, or a feeling of being completely helpless. It can be an overwhelming experience. That's when you need help. Professional medical help. But first, you have to ask for it.
Call the Adult Mental Health Program at Golden Valley Health Center.
Don't worry. We'll take care of it in the morning.
I'd really feel better if I did it now.
Now, the most progressive banking organization in the world brings you the most intelligent banking system.
Citibank Financial Account, may I help you?
Yeah, I need to write a check tomorrow morning for $4,600, and I know I don't have enough in checking right now.
Let's see what we can do.
From basic banking to complex money management, the Citibank Financial Account gives you the most service.
$12.75 in checking.
The most convenience.
Move $2,500 from savings.
The most direct access to your money 24 hours a day, every day.
$8.25 from your money market? And I think that should do it.
Thanks. That's going to make my husband feel a lot better.
All these people, all this technology waiting to go to work for you. The financial account from Citibank. The most bank for your money.
I remember a couple of years ago when Roy Smalley was still a member of the Minnesota Twins, he took to weightlifting, and he said something to the effect that it revolutionized not only his body, his whole outlook on life. It had something to do with his mental well-being. Now Les Steckel comes along, pushing the physical durability of the players.
He has Bud Bjorner, who is into weightlifting, and they're really revolutionizing it. It used to be if you lifted weights or just to get strong and so on. They're saying that your linemen should have better upper body strength and so on. And not only that, but they're trying to prevent injuries by doing this too. So it's really interesting. And Dave, athletic teams from high school on up to the professional ranks are doing more and more to get their players into the best physical shape possible. The Minnesota North Stars hockey team has employed the Copeland Physical Therapy Associates of the Twin Cities to test their players, and according to physical therapist Tom Copeland, it's not just an attempt to increase muscle efficiency, but to reduce the number of injuries through healthier players.
One of the important things we want to do, of course, is to see if there are any deficits, any problems that any of the athletes have that may predispose them to injury while they're participating. The other thing that we're trying to do is to determine their level of fitness so that we're able to better construct a program for them to get them better aerobically fit. In this respect, what will happen is as they get more aerobically fit through the season, their performance later on in the game will improve. Their endurance levels will be better and they will have less fatigue effect. What we're trying to do with the aerobic stress testing is determine their maximum heart rate, which will give us the opportunity to determine what a good aerobic fitness program should be for them.
Dan Mandich is going wild over here in the arm machine. What's that all about?
Well, what we're trying to do with the arm machine is to test out a certain component of shoulder function that has been pretty popular in the news lately. The last couple of years, you've heard a lot of information about rotator cuff injuries in baseball pitchers, in hockey players that use their sticks, in basketball players, etc. And what we're trying to do is to see if anybody has any potential problems with their rotator cuff, or if they do have a problem with it, find that out now and put them on programs that will keep them from causing some kind of aggravation or acute problem that will keep them out during the season.
Dave, these teams realize that injured players do them no good, and that the money spent on therapeutic equipment is well worth the investment. They have literally thousands and thousands of dollars in equipment, weightlifting and bikes, mechanisms of that nature.
I imagine the statistical studies have been completed now on the relationship between physical durability and conditioning and winning. I wonder if there is a proper ratio there that people have.
I think there is a correlation, no doubt. Of course, the Twins are at the Dome tonight against Chicago, and I don't want to have to go through what we went through last night. That was as quiet a Twins locker room as I have ever seen. They realize now where they are. They're in a position where they just, every game is a must game. If they fall to Chicago and then have to face Seaver on Thursday afternoon, it could be complete disaster.
Why would they be particularly more morose yesterday than, say, a couple of losses way back, except for one inning? They played particularly
well. Because I think they did play well, except at the plate. They're simply not hitting the ball, and Kent Herbeck struck out 3 times, very unusual. They're starting to beef about a few calls now. I don't think it's the concentration necessarily is there, but they're right now, they're grasping for straws.
Did you feel that they were a little testy, a little edgy with you last night? Not you, but you as other members of the media?
No, not necessarily. They're edgy with themselves. They're disgusted. They know they can play better, and there's no better time than tonight, believe me, to break out of it. We have Smithson going against Bannister.
Well, maybe Rod Carew's advice: don't grip the bat quite so tight. Loosen up on the bat.
Loosen up. Dick Siebert used to say that too.
Right. Thanks, Ralph. Governor Perpich wants a teacher from Minnesota to be one of the first civilians in space. And to that point, he has sent a letter to President Reagan recommending one teacher, Rick Haley of Delano. Now, Mr. Haley is 29 years old. He has made NASA space programs a primary part of his 6th grade curriculum. His students have also sent a similar letter to Mr. Reagan.
Could you go for another day of sunshine? Well, it will be cooler, but still mild and beautiful. I'm Bud Kraling. I have the complete weather picture next.
All right, thank you, Bud. We'll also tell you what Twin Cityans think about health benefits and costs when the Wednesday 5 continues. Stay with us.
Jenny Stepness has been a nurse in the oncology department of Abbott Northwestern Hospital for over 10 years now. Oncology, that's cancer. It's not unusual that Jenny has worked in cancer care so long. The turnover of the nursing staff is the lowest in the hospital because some say the need is the greatest. We have the latest technology. We're winning many of the battles, and we have people like Jenny Stepness, one of the loving arms of Abbott Northwestern Hospital.
Welcome to the Minneapolis Miracle, the clothing distribution center, the off-price store that's changing the way men shop for clothes. Look at the selection. Thousands of top-quality suits, sport coats, overcoats, raincoats, and slacks priced far below typical retail. Famous brands like Fashion Park, Worsted Tech, Sussex, Hardy Amy, Eagle, and more. Wool blend vested suits, $99.90. Pure wool designer styles, $149.90. All wool blazers and sport coats, $79.90. Sizes to fit most any man. For top-maker clothes at rock-bottom prices, shop the Clothing Distribution Center.
New Potato Delights are really good for only one thing, but not for this. They're lighter, but don't give much of a flash. They're less oily than the ordinary potato chip. Snappy taste, but doubt it. Oh, they're in, but really. Not this, or this. Say there's Potato Delights. They're really good for only one thing.
My husband, Alex Karras, with a testimonial for Lazy Boy chair. He's saying his Lazy Boy recliner knocks him out. He's comfortable knowing a genuine Lazy Boy chair has over 50 years of quality built in. And he says Lazy Boy is the original recliner, with features still unmatched today. Lazy Boy, there's only one. Unless, of course, you count Alex.
That's cute, Susan.
Look for the Lazy Boy fall sale in this Sunday's magazine section. I think we had a case of 90-itis today. Lots of temperatures in the 90s over the 5-state area. The hot spot, the hottest one I could find anyway, was Murdo, South Dakota, just south of Pierre. It was 101.
You know, it was strange to see all the leaves falling on the ground, but the weather being so warm.
Yes,
Didn't seem right,
well,
did it?
some nice color coming into the trees. And there was a little sunbathing going on today, too, down along the Mississippi River, down by University of Minnesota Showboat. It's a nice spot for a little sunbathing.
One last blast.
They're there somewhere, Dave.
I don't see any sunbathers.
Oh, just a moment now. Say, we've had a variety of temperatures. They're behind those. We've had a variety of temperatures on September 19th. A year ago, it was only 55, where the coolest was 34 degrees in 1896. I admit we went back a few years here. The warmest, 94 degrees in 1895. Present temperature in the Twin Cities is 91, humidity 30%. The wind is from the southwest, and that's a warm breeze, 20 to 25 miles an hour. Barometric pressure at 29.74, and the pressure is falling. And it was a sunny day, a sunny satellite picture today, all the way from the Rockies. A few clouds just on the other side of the Rockies, but sunny from the Rockies to the upper Mississippi Valley, the mid-Atlantic coastal area, and those 90-degree temperatures, and the 101 at Murdo, South Dakota, just kind of funneled right up into that pyramid, right up the Mississippi Valley. Cloudiness along the Gulf today, and thunderstorms earlier today at Brownsville, Texas. They just had a 1/10 of an inch of rain at Brownsville today, but Brownsville has had 14.5 inches of rain in the last 2 days. Showers all through the Gulf and covering much of Florida today. Some parts of southern Florida, 4 inches of rain in the last 2 days or since Tuesday. A high-pressure center over the east. The coolest temperatures of the afternoon at Limestone, Maine, where the afternoon temperature at 57. It was 36 this morning at Washington, D.C. They warmed up to 78. Showers at Miami. Afternoon temperature was 88 today. And those clouds and showers keeping the temperature to only 77 at Brownsville, Texas. Well, here's the very hottest of the hot spots today. Palm Springs at 110. Got a little cold front moving in, and that's why we're talking about some slightly cooler temperatures tomorrow in the metro area. But behind the cold front, Seattle, the temperatures in the 70s today. Here's our forecast tonight. Mostly clear, the low temperature at 55. Southwest winds at 10 to 20 miles an hour. Forecast for Thursday. Clear and cooler with a high at 80 degrees, northwest winds at 10 to 20. And then Friday, partly cloudy, a slight chance of scattered showers with the afternoon temperature at 82. So bring in some cool temperatures and a chance of rain on Friday.
I can't believe it's 91 degrees out there.
No.
It really is. Thank you, Bud. The Minnesota Coalition of Healthcare Costs released a survey today on consumer attitudes about health benefits and their costs. Colleen Needles has the results from our St. Paul newsroom. And Colleen, I understand there were no big surprises anyway in that report.
That is right, Pat. More than 5,000 employees of Twin Cities firms were surveyed. And as you said, the results were not that surprising. Most of the people surveyed said they want higher quality health care, but most say they don't want to pay more for it.
For example, when asked what they want most out of a health care plan, the favorite response was high-quality care. A close second, though, low monthly payments. Another predictable conclusion is that most people believe health care costs are rising faster than the general cost of living. And based on recent statistics, that, of course, is correct. It is interesting to note, though, that nearly half of all respondents blame the hospitals for the rising cost of health care. 1/4 blame doctors. Along those same lines, more than half think hospitals push extra services in order to make more money. Only 1/3 think doctors do that. Finally, the majority of people surveyed say they would take special measures to control health care costs, such as using generic drugs in place of brand names and entering a hospital on the same day as they are having surgery. And Pat, that is of special interest to the group that conducted this survey. The Minnesota Coalition on Health Care Costs, made up of representatives from hospitals, labor, business, insurance companies, and the medical community, hopes to use the results from this survey in suggesting changes in the health care system.
I see. Well, do they feel it will have a big impact on changes, Colleen? I mean, are they looking at that down the road as a result of this survey?
Of course, they're always interested in to see how people who are using the healthcare system view it. These, of course, were a group of about 5,000 employees. This survey was funded by a group of employers, so the employers who put together healthcare packages and decide what they're going to offer to their employees, they could definitely use this information in providing services to them. So I think this could be used by a variety of groups when they go to make some changes that will be necessary in the future.
All right. Thank you very much, Colleen.
John DeLorean's drug trial is apparently taking its toll on his marriage. That's the story we'll report in just a moment when the Wednesday 5 resumes.
Don't wait to insulate. Do it now and save big money at Menards. Whatever kind of insulation you need, it's on sale now at Menards. Save on moisture-resistant polystyrene, ideal for basements. Save on face fiberglass for walls and floors. Save on non-irritating cellulose insulation. This big 24-pound bag covers over 41 square feet, and it's on sale now for just $2.88. That's about 7 cents a square foot. That's foam, blown, and rolled insulation on sale now at Menards.
I'll have that decaffeinated coffee that tastes as good as regular coffee.
This guy wants decaffeinated that tastes as good as regular.
You know what I mean, don't you?
Sure I do. Don't you?
Round decaffeinated Hills Brothers. It tastes as good as Maxwell House regular coffee. And we couldn't say that if it weren't true.
Do you think he knows something we don't know?
Decaffeinated Hills Brothers. It's going to be your regular coffee.
If you think all group dental plans pay for dental problems you had before joining the plan, think again. The only dental plan that was designed to cover pre-existing conditions is Delta Dental. Delta's goal? Long-term dental health for more Minnesota people, starting day one. It pays to keep your teeth in good biting condition.
You and Channel 4, we've got the touch.
Welcome to our world. Come on through. Friends who love the best are here for you. We'll lighten your day. We'll lift you up high. We're two of a kind. We see eye to eye.
Get the touch of the Twin Cities. You and Channel 4, we've got the touch. Together you know we've got the touch. You and Channel 4, we've got the touch.
Just a month after he was acquitted on drug smuggling charges, former automaker John DeLorean and his wife Christina Farrar are separating. DeLorean's attorney calls it a trial separation only, saying the two needed a break from the pressures of the past couple of years. They are said to be going through marriage counseling in the meantime.
Now a preview of some of the items forthcoming on the 6 p.m. report.
2 more indictments were released today against children's theater personnel. The new indictments are for failure to report suspected sexual abuse. I'm Barb Brown. I'll have that report at 6 o'clock.
I'm Dr. Larry Kuttner. What was the chemical reaction that killed 2 people in Champlin yesterday, and how can you avoid accidentally doing it in your own house? We'll also have that story coming up on the 6 p.m. report.
I'm Marcia Fleur, and at 6 I'll tell you about the groundbreaking today for the new women's prison in Shakopee.
And coming up tonight on CBS News, I'm sure a report about a Secret Service report that a man with a knife was arrested near Walter Mondale. It happened in San Francisco today. Authorities said he was just several feet away from the vice president. The Secret Service agent Richard McGrew says agents arrested the man when they spotted a belt. Coming up on CBS News.
Good evening. This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Rather reporting. A Justice Department